They are absolutely all those things: sickening, odious, not shocking, though, to the United Nations, I wouldn't think, because anyone who's been watching this unfold over the last year, since my organization exposed the UN's complete lack of follow-up or care for 6 boys who were raped back in 2014, should know that that was the tip of the iceberg. We've been crying about this for a year, and there's been no action, including on the part of the French government, which has never indicted any soldier for those acts back in 2014.
Why do you think there has been this blind eye turned to these allegations, which, as you say, you revealed them, and they are universally shocking?
They are. It's extraordinary. And there's nothing that can explain the blind eye except for the fact that the UN can explain away their slowness on dealing with something like Ebola or the Zika virus or poverty reduction and that sort of thing, but not, they have a much harder time dealing with the fact that they have created this particular crisis. They brought this crisis to these countries that are in dire straits already. And so they've got this horrible conflict of interest. On the one hand, they're supposed to be looking out for the victims and protecting the civilians. On the other hand, they're the predators. So they can't be playing both sides of this game. And what it shows you is that it just causes them to take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and they never move anywhere.
Child sex abuse, forced bestiality. Before that, I can recall allegations of exchanging sex for food. It's all very horrific stuff, isn't it? What damage has this done to the UN, one wonders? What damage has this done to the children concerned?
It's inconceivable. It's just to think that 4 girls were tied up and disrobed and forced into bestiality by a French commander, and they have been living with the shame that's been imposed on them by the community. Since then, one of them actually died, probably of her injuries. But it's just unthinkable what this does to an entire community and, frankly, an entire country. I mean, most people in the world don't have a lot of intimate knowledge of the United Nations. So peacekeeping for many, many millions of people is their first introduction to the UN. And when you're told people are coming to protect you, and then they turn on the civilian population, it's mind-boggling.
Paula, it's horrific. I'm just confirming, you said that one of the girls has died since of her injuries, which it just adds layer upon layer to the shock of this story. Can I ask you, Paula, what you would want the French government to do now? What would you be calling on François Hollande to stand up and do?
Yes. So President Hollande said back in May 2015, when we first revealed those horrible abuses against children by the Sangaris forces, he said that he would not rest until prosecutions were carried out and the perpetrators were brought to justice. And then it's been just radio silence since then from the French government. And when the UN is asked, are you pressing the French government? The UN says, well, it's a sovereign state, you know, they have their own systems of justice. The French government absolutely, especially as a Security Council member and one of the P5, it has an absolute obligation to stop acting as though they're part of the, you know, taking the high moral ground and pointing fingers at other troop-contributing countries who give UN troops, and start acting as though they themselves not only have to set the standard, but they have a lot of reparations to make and a lot of catching up to do in order to bring to justice the perpetrators now who stretch back to apparently 2013.